Hello, hello. What's poppin', my Freeform Renegades? You are tuned into the Freeform Network. Thank you for joining us for another fun episode of Freeform Radio. I'm one of your many hosts, Noel, and my co-host today, Daniel,
Yes, sir. Locked up in the house, can't go out. But yeah, we're here.
and our infamous co-host, Andy.
It's all good, man. I'm fuck the quarantine. I'm breaking the law. I'm out every day and twice on Sunday.
Well, it's another beautiful day here in Chicago. Wherever you listeners are, we hope you're sitting cool and feeling good and getting ready to get this show on the road. Daniel, so please give us an update on what's been going on in your life and everything.
Yeah, kind of like I mentioned at the top, stuck at home. Just recently, they told us to work from home for the next 3 weeks or so because of the COVID spike. So, yeah, I had to move all my stuff, bunch of paperwork, prints, things that I have at work, and things that, I'm just going to need to just do my job at home. Now, I had a stint before when COVID first erupted of working from home. That was a pretty long one. I mean, it was, I think, from April all the way to like August. And by the end of it, I had gotten used to it, kind of working from home. It was a little challenging at times because sometimes my work involves me talking to my coworkers to get opinions and check designs out and whatnot. So, yes, this is round two of working from home, which I'm glad. I'm glad my work allows me to work from home and gives me that option. So, just something new that I'm gonna have to do.
Do you feel with your family being at home too? Do you feel the house is crowded along with your dog, or do you feel you could do? It's no issue to you. I mean, if your internet's working and all that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the internet's working, luckily the house is pretty spacious, so we can get all our own individual space, and we do have designated like areas for work in this office room that we have. My wife has a desk, I have a desk, and we both have our computers in here. So yeah, we're able to both sit in here and do our work. My wife also works from home, so um, it's something that I'm gonna have to get back into at least for they made it sound like 3 weeks. I got a feeling that if this spike goes the way that some of the experts are saying, it might be longer than 3 weeks. But for now, that's the kind of time frame that they're giving us.
We're in for our people don't know we're in the Chicagoland area. I was actually is this morning that I was reading. They believe the spike happened this week, or
Oh,
the peak as they call it. So we might
right,
be coming down, but
nice.
we'll see what happens. I have a feeling. I still know people. Some former co-workers who work at different places. They've been working from home since like March. Like they told them to stay home for the whole year. Um,
Wow.
and I know some, and these are like, but these ain't like small companies. These are like big 500, top 500 companies. Like these are conglomerates, and I know a couple here in Illinois, more than like three that have been working from home. And there was like a couple months ago, they asked them, they sent something out, I feel, about coming back, and everybody pretty much said, "Fuck that." We want. I think they got used to working from home, and uh, yeah. So I've been asked. We were asked to stagger with my in our department, so which I'm fine with it. I'm like working from home is fine, but I'm not crazy about it.
Right. It's definitely a different element. For the most part, I tend to work on my own. I mean, I'm in my own cubicle, doing my own thing, anyways. But there are times where you're at a point in the design and you're like, ah, man, should I go this way? Should I go that way? So you do look for input from your coworkers.
Do you welcome that input, or I think you're looking for is criticism, constructively, of course.
I mean, I do have my own opinions on a lot of things, but for our type of line of work, I work in the engineering department. A lot of it is collaborations with your fellow coworkers. So you look at something, you look at a design, and you go through the process, and sometimes you get kind of tunnel vision on what you think is best. And sometimes when you bounce it off somebody, you get an alternative point of view, something that maybe you didn't even look at because you've been overlooking it for the whole process. And it really is refreshing at times to give you uh, something else to go through to maybe improve your design. So I welcome stuff like that. To me, I don't mind it. I don't get offended if people tell me, I don't know why you did it this way. This doesn't sound good. Now, after the project has launched, if those criticisms come up, then I find it a little more difficult just because where were you when we were designing this thing? Where was those inputs so that we can incorporate it into the design? But no, in the design phase, I think it's helpful to have collaboration from other workers. But nothing else really big time in the week happening. Um, the only other thing that I want to talk about kind of quick was the Bears, man. It's terrible, man. It's bad at times where I
It's
can't
garbage,
even
man. Say
I,
it, man.
I can't even watch it, man. Sometimes it's a little difficult, man, to even watch. But I'm a Bears fan, so I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna watch it all the way through. But man, I mean, the QB issues, the head coach, the play calling, and even the offensive coordinator because he took over the play calling. But I don't really know how much leeway he had or how much different play calling from Nagy's. But all around, man, it's kind of difficult to watch. I'm not sure if you guys are watching football at this,
Not this season, man. It's just been too rough. And the way I look at it, it's like, well, you got like 16 games, and each one is like 3 hours. Like, would I do this for a TV show if it sucked that bad? You know what I mean? Would I watch fucking like 40, 50 hours of a TV show that I'm not agreeing with at all on any level? It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna waste my time, dude. Maybe next year. But then again, I've never been a diehard football fan.
right?
I only ever watched it for the Bears. I'm not trying to see what all the other teams are, memorize all the other teams' names, and then the Bears team already changed so much that trying to remember the new names. Like I back in the Madden days, I was really into it in the early 2001 when you had it for PS2.
Right.
Dude, I was super into the Bears and all that, and yeah, it's just man, they've come close a couple times, and it's just year after year, it's just disappointing, and it just like eats a piece of me. So I'm just like, I'm not gonna tune into this TV show anymore.
Right, right. How about you, Andy?
Nah, you know me. I love football, college football, and professional football. But yeah, the Bears. I think Nagy's done his play calling. He went. They brought him in as an offensive like fucking guru. This guy's gonna fix everything, and he's just every. I think the first year where the offense was, I think above average. I think they were like a top 15 offense or something, if I remember reading that. And then after that, they've gone worse and worse. And I think as of of this recording, their overall offense in the league, they're dead last in like points on just everything. It's fucking brutal, and the play calling. I mean, early on, everybody was shitting on Trubisky, saying that Trubisky, he would say Trubisky can't really run what he wants to run. He was hyping up Foles. Foles came in and it went to him from bad to worse. So, and I get it. Like he has a scheme he wants to run, but a good coach recognizes. I feel like what your players can and can't do, and it's just he refuses to adjust, and he's putting all the pressure to score on the defense and special teams. I mean, I think the Monday night game, which fucking Kirk Cousins is like fucking, he's average at best. He won his first Monday night game, and the offense put 6 fucking points. Special teams put up 7 of the Bears, and the defense got I think 2 takeaways. I mean, what the fuck, man? Like in today's NFL, you got to score at least 3 touchdowns to have a chance to win when your defense holds everybody to like 19, 20 points, your average. I mean, if you score 3 touchdowns, you're gonna fucking win. It's
And
just, it's horrible, dude. It's fucking horrible, and it's all coaching. I get it. He don't have the horses he wants, but you gotta adjust to what your players can and can't do. I feel
I think the Vikings, they're not that great in
the
defense either. So
defense is horrible.
you
Yeah,
would think if any game that we can kind of look somewhat presentable offensively, it would be this Minnesota game. But yeah, it was terrible where they couldn't even score a touchdown. But yeah, man, it's funny that you mentioned that it got worse when Foles came in. My wife just got into football really last year, and then even more so this year. And yeah, man, me and her were in that agreement that when Foles stepped in to take care of the quarterbacking, it like to me it took a step down. I mean, it wasn't that great with Trubisky, but at least he was mobile, so he kept plays alive, and the offense seemed a little more dynamic. And where to me, it's more of this pocket quarterback, which can work if your offensive line is good, but our offensive
yeah,
line has some faults in it. So when they blitz you, which that is like the key element of how to beat our offense nowadays, they just blitz, blitz, blitz. And when our offense breaks down, the quarterback he just doesn't have enough time. So if he's not a mobile quarterback, forget about it. It's over. So I agree with you on all your points. I think coaching, I think you got to see the players that you have and use the tools that you have the best you can. And I just don't think Nagy, offensive coordinator, or whoever else, they're not really using these
yeah.
players the best way.
If you look where he came from, the Andy Reid, but look at like the quarterback in Kansas City. He had Mahomes, the running back was Tyreek Hill, and he's trying to run that shit here, and it just he don't have the O line. He Trubisky at least was mobile. He said he can't run the plays that he wants him to run. They dumbed down the playbook. When Foles came in, I'm like, all right, they're gonna open up the playbook to do what they can do, and it went worse. And to me, when I see bad football, and I mean, I'm fucking what 41 years old. I've been watching football since I was like 9, 10. I can remember when bad teams fucking are they when you have bad offensive teams, the running the ball helps out. So to me, I feel like they need to slow the game down, go fucking I formation, put a tight end or whatever the fuck in front of the running back, and just fucking pound it and throw in when needed to be. You eat up the clock, and all this shit. And it just like he doesn't. He does all this side pass bullshit. Sometimes the pass is incomplete or they lose yards. It's just horrible fucking play calling. And to me, I feel like they need to slow the game down. And then when they do get in a rhythm, fucking Nagy does stupid shit like taking timeouts, messing up the rhythm, and like his time control of time. Is just has a bad
I
track
think
record.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
horrible.
terrible, dude. I there's times that we're barely starting the second quarter and he's out of timeouts already. And then there's times that we're down to a minute left in the half and he still has all three timeouts. So it's either he uses them all up or he saves them all. It's like there's no sense of, all right, my defense is kind of winded. They were going, no huddle. Let me call a timeout to give my defense an extra, minute so they can catch their breath. Stuff like that. He doesn't see that. And even on the offense, he doesn't see when the quarterback's having issues lining the players up correctly and he's struggling. Those are the times that you're supposed to call a timeout when there's confusions in plays. And I think because he was taking care of the offensive play calling, I think some of those went to the wayside where he wasn't managing the clock correctly. So I did like that the offensive coordinator took over play calling, which hopefully will free up Nagy so that we can properly judge him on time management. But I got a feeling that he's not that good anyways, even if he was just standing there
I
watching the game.
I think Nagy's done, and I think he's playing to keep his job now. He's coaching to keep his job. I think his first fault, for whatever it is giving up the play calling during the season. To me, that sign like he knows he's under pressure. So he gave that up, and then this week there was rumors coming out that the McCaskies are not fucking happy with Nagy or Pace. They were embarrassed how they lost on Monday Night Football, twice, and then like the Sunday night games, there's nationally televised games, and they're being criticized. The offense is being criticized, very bad, and I think they're embarrassed how they can't score, and that there's rumors that McCaskey's gonna, at the end of the season, George McCaskey, the owner of the Bears, or the president, his mom owns the team. Allegedly they're gonna really start. I think he's done. I mean, I don't know. I mean, with COVID, I don't know what else to expect, but I've seen enough of Nagy. I mean, I feel like the league caught up to him within a year, or after the first year, and he hasn't made any changes. So,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta adjust, otherwise the league figures shit out quickly now.
Right. I think that is a part of it. The league is quick. The first year, he's new, exciting. People are trying to figure him out. But I kind of see it a little opposite as him giving up the play calling. I think it's him kind of showing people that he is not all to blame, because no matter who calls the plays, the offense is terrible. The offensive line is terrible. The quarterback is not that great. And there are other issues other than just the head coach. But I mean, hopefully that'll play out in the next coming weeks. All right. So, yeah, the Bears are terrible. Terrible news all around. But let's speak on something good and more positive. Noel, let me know about this 15 seasons of Supernaturals, man. They had a great run. How are you seeing this final season come along?
Oh man, it was epic. It was good. It was a good ending to a long, running show. I've been watching this since 2006. It started in 2005, but I watched the excuse me, I watched the DVD season 1 at my cousin's house when it first released in, I think, 2006. And ever since then, man, I've been hooked on it. It's been a great long run. Have any of you guys watched the show Supernatural?
I haven't. I mean, I think he was watching it for a while. I just know, I looked into it a little bit. When I had cable, I noticed I was on reruns a lot on TNT, and I would catch glimpses of it. But all I can remember, it had producers that worked on the X Files worked on this show, and it had a lot of guest stars. But I never really watched it. Now I see there's a lot of hype on the internet about it's wrapping up this year. So I don't know. I was thinking maybe I might check it out, but I haven't watched any of it.
Right. Yeah. I used to watch it. Actually, you're the one that kind of turned me onto it, Noel. And I don't know exactly where I jumped off. I must have at least got 9 or 10 seasons in. But to me, at the end, it was getting a little cookie cutter, rinse, repeat kind of thing, where it was always like an angel going bad, and then the I forget their names now, but the brothers,
The Winchesters.
they have to kind of reel the angel in, and then it's the devil, so then they got to reel the devil in, and then it's God, and then they got to reel God in. And so it was getting a little bit repetitive to me. It was still very interesting because I like the dynamic between the two Winchesters, like muscle car heavy guys. They're just guys. One guy's a little more sentimental. The other guy is a little more, like a rough exterior man. And I really liked the whole dynamic of the show. But yeah, towards the end, I did start getting kind of fatigued. Kind of a little bit similar to Gotham, and I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago, where it's. I think there is a point where you need to cut the season, and where it's like, all right, we've done about all we can with this franchise. Let's end it. And yeah, I was just like Andy. I was excited to hear that the 15th season was going to be their final season, from my understanding, and there was a lot of fans that were really excited.
Yeah. You're right. It did have a couple rough seasons. With a show like this, it's really difficult to keep it as fresh as it was in the first few seasons. I think the first three seasons deal with a lot more of like a horror element to it,
Right.
and once you kind of pass those 3 4 seasons, you kind of start getting into the realm of where it gets either a little repetitive or a little just weirder or out there. They have some parody episodes. They have just all different kinds of weird cameos and weird takes on episodes, like some kind of Twilight Zone type episode
Right.
or like a Broadway show type episode, and it's just kind of to one, keep it fresh as best they can, and then two, to kind of give it a different flair. Whereas the first seasons were more based on horror and based on giving you knowledge about these different monsters throughout mythological history, they also start getting more into the comedic elements. So if you grew up watching Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness and you're into the Bruce Campbell series, then you're gonna enjoy Supernatural in the later seasons because the later seasons it has more of that style of acting and that style of story where they do have like funny moments, comedic. They still have drama. They still have everything else in it. Um,
Yeah, I think the last season that I saw, one of the Winchesters had the mark of Cain, and so he
yeah,
he, he had to kind of figure out how to get rid of it, and then um, Sam was found out to be some kind of like archangel guy, I think. And
yeah.
then I think that's the last season that I saw, and I was just like, what the hell? Now these two guys are like angels and fighting each other, and I'm just like, I was just like, I think that's enough. I think I've seen about enough of this.
It does get a little out there, man.
That's when they
But
jumped the shark, Danny.
Yeah, I mean it's a good show, man. Like Noel said, the first couple seasons are really horror heavy, and then I really like the dynamic with the dad. I thought the family aspect of it, where the mom passed away, and then the
yeah,
dad is helping mentoring the kids, and then there was like even I forget that old man, the old man that used to help them, that was like a mentor to them because of the dad passing
Bobby.
away, Bobby.
Yeah,
And so I really liked all that dynamic, and I thought it was really interesting. And the first couple seasons were great, but like you said, it got to the point where I kind of lost interest. And every now and then it calls to me. I see like a trailer, and I'm like, man, I'd really like to jump back in, but I'm like, I'm too far out of it. I would have to catch up on like 3 seasons of maybe rough TV to get to this trailer that looks a little interesting.
yeah. I mean, there were a few seasons that really were difficult for people, and that's usually season 7 to 9.
Okay.
The story at that point kind of took a pivotal shift, and it lasted for 2 long years where it was just boring with characters that you didn't want to get more screen time. It dealt with these creatures called Leviathan, and it was just kind of not what people wanted to see. So thankfully, after season 9, they kind of got rid of all that and they went a different direction. And I think after that, it kind of got a lot better from season 10 on. And I binged season 15. I purposefully, during the whole COVID stuff, I didn't watch any episodes of it. I think I watched like just the first two, maybe, and I can't really remember very well what happened back then. So I had to rewatch it. I want to say last week because that's when the finale was going to air. So I took the couple that day right there to watch it all, and I watched the finale, and it wrapped up well, man. One thing you got to know about this show is that throughout the years, like I said, it's hard to maintain that freshness and that horror quality where you get like kind of thrilled or scared or anything like that. So what they did to compensate for that is they invested in the characters. If the story isn't going to entertain you necessarily, the characters will because you grew to know them better and better every season. They do really great on that. That I give them a lot of props for. The actors had a good background in drama. So Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean, the older brother, he has a background from soap operas. That's what he was doing before the show, and so he has a very good ability to make things real in the human level. So the characters get the development to the point where you're not just watching, these guys go in and kick ass like fucking Captain America. You're watching these guys kick ass, have to go home by themselves, no wives, no kids, no family, no one else that gives a shit about them. And you see that year after year, it becomes difficult, but they become stronger as a result because they got each other at least. So the one overarching theme of the show is family and
Right.
brotherhood, and because of that, brotherhood bond that is like really heavily put in the show. I loved it, man, and it was really sad to see it go at season 15. But you know what? I accepted it. Actually, the ending was perfect for you to accept loss, loss in general, for anyone and everyone. It's like it epitomized the feeling of loss and how it's okay, and so it was perfect. It
Wow.
really, yeah.
Wow. So I know a lot of other TV shows get criticized for their ending. I know, like Dexter, which actually is coming
Yeah.
back. People were shitting on that ending. Sopranos, people were shitting on the ending. Even
Game
Game
of
of Thrones.
Thrones,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, there's a lot of shows that it's really difficult to have a good ending, dude.
Right. But you're saying Supernatural kind of wrapped up the story in a nice bow.
Yeah, dude, it really did. So it had 20 episodes, and in 19th episode, you could technically consider it the end, although the 20th obviously is the official end. But it's a little harder to watch for some people that truly love these characters. So, you got to make that choice. Do I want to, finish at 19, or do I want to see how it's really supposed to end? And I got to say, watch episode 20 if you really want that message of that loss is okay, and you had a good run.
So let me ask you just a quick question. A guy like me that jumped off, maybe I'm assuming like season 8 or something.
Hmm.
Uh, can I jump into this 15th season and watch it, or would you recommend I jump in season 13 or season 14 to kind of understand what's going on in this season?
You probably want to start at 10 and then go from there. Uh, because you're gonna miss some key characters in season 15 that when they go
They're
through
introduced in
whatever.
season 10.
Well, I'm not gonna say season 10, but definitely from there to
Oh, okay.
15, you're gonna see some people that are introduced that if you don't see them introduced by the time you get to 15, and if something happens to them, you're like, I don't care. But like if you see them from 10 to 15, you're like, oh, these guys and that guy, and I care about what they do and this, that. And then if something happens to them, you're like, shit, like, you know what I mean? Like
Okay, all right.
Game of Thrones, no one's safe. Let's just say that season 15, no one's safe, and the build up from 10 to 15 is worth watching.
All right.
Um, but yeah, that's that Supernatural, man. Thank you for the 15 seasons, to the creators of the show. Thank you to the fans that also cared about it just as much as I did. And just one last thing I wanted to share about my week. I'm actually contemplating getting a greenhouse for this upcoming year. I've
Mm.
been I've been growing some plants and herbs last year, and it went really really well. I harvested in October, and then I did a little drying and curing phase, and it's just about wrapped up right in time for Thanksgiving to test out that herb. But I'm thinking about getting a greenhouse, learning how to cultivate, harvest, dry, and cure all different kinds of herbs. And when I mean cure, I mean it's like a process of storing so that the quality improves through certain chemical breakdown processes that happen within the plant, and giving it time to vent and just kind of do its thing will increase the quality of the herb. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the plan next year. Get a greenhouse. That way I could plant in probably March because it does get chilly over here in Chicago. So I don't want to get that frost going. But the greenhouse should protect it, which is the whole point.
Now, when I hear greenhouse, I picture like in the TV movie land where there's like
Like huge as
a
fuck.
huge glass building that's housing all these plants. I'm assuming you're not talking about that kind of greenhouse.
No, it would be the size of probably like 8 by 5, something like that. It's gonna be a night. It's like bigger than a shed, or it's roughly the size of a shed, maybe. But
Okay.
it's gonna be clear, and you have either the option of plastic or like a durable hard plastic, kind of like plexiglass type thing, or
Okay.
like legit glass. But all different kinds come with their prices and come with their pros and cons. So still in the development phase of like trying to figure out what the best bang for my buck is. But yeah, that ultimately that's the plan. So that way I can grow some garlic and some spices, maybe some sage and stuff, just to kind of dip my foot in the whole gardening, pool.
Oh, nice. I actually bought a greenhouse myself too, but it's a little smaller thing. I mean, it's probably maybe like 4 by 4 wide and deep, and then it's probably about like 6 foot tall. So it's more like a closet size
Mhm.
greenhouse, and then it's made out of like a vinyl plastic that drapes over the sides, and it's got these racks. And me and my wife used it for like 2 years to just like continuously year round grow cilantro, stuff like that, stuff that we can grow and just keep in the house and have fresh herbs and stuff. And it worked. It worked for the most part. It does maintain its heat. When sun hits it, it does radiate inside the greenhouse, and it does help it grow. So I really dug it. It was a lot of maintenance, and I think that's what ultimately got us to not really use it for the past year or two. But every now and then I see it in the basement when I walk down there, and I'm just like, man, I should really bring this guy up and try again and get this thing going. And I was looking into doing some more like maintenance free stuff where you would put like a half cut off liter of water on a like a can like a Pepsi thing. You would cut it in half and you put like this yarn and it automatically feeds your plants, and it's less maintenance where you just kind of sit back and let the shit grow.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Whatever you're growing, you have to care about it enough, I guess, to really be able to put up the work that you need. When I was growing the plant that I was growing, I had to check it every day just to see what the changes were. And growing it outside, I learned there's a lot more pests to deal with than I thought. I thought I was gonna be, oh, you just grow a plant, it grows, and that's it. No big deal. Feed it, water it, done. But no, it's hit by the elements every day. It's hit by bugs every day. Fucking bugs take a shit in it. You know what I mean? If you're gonna consume this stuff, you want to consume bug shit, right? So,
Right.
or eggs, and then have them grow. You know what I mean? Like you just start, your mind starts racing with all these thoughts. So that's why the greenhouse is a good idea for pest control. And there are alternatives, obviously, if you don't use a greenhouse. For people that do grow herbs, there's different alternatives I can show you next time. We'll do a whole thing about it. But
Oh,
um,
nice.
but yeah, I mean, greenhouse is sounds like a good option. I do recommend you do it because it's nice to spend a little bit of time when you have it to grow something, create something, and then get to like benefit from that creation. I think it's healthy as well for just general life purposes, but especially healthy for people who want to stay home and safe, and you don't want to have to go to the grocery store for some freaking garlic. So this actually gives me a good chance to pass it over to you, Andy. This whole COVID stuff, man, is it still scaring you?
So I just recently had with the whole pandemic and shit that Danny talked earlier, we're working from home here in Chicagoland. We've had a spike the last 3 weeks, and so I'm doing my due diligence. Wear a mask, however you feel about that shit, and but generally we just stay at the house. Like 95% of the time, we go out, we go to the grocery store, pick up some food or some shit. But overall, and I really haven't visited nobody, my in-laws or even my family, because I'm just at home. I mean, it's cool. I watch a lot of bullshit and stuff like that, but usually on Sundays, we would watch our niece, and my wife would go pick her up, generally, and they live like 10 minutes from here while they go run some errands. We do watch our niece, but I mean, we've been doing this early in the pandemic. We didn't, but then in the summer we just picked up, and it hasn't really been no issues. But and then we had usually our sister-in-law comes and picks up the baby, or my niece. She's not a baby. I guess she is. She's almost 2. And then she texted us. So she picked her up a couple weeks ago, and then she works at a medical place. And then she found out that one of her coworkers, who was in close contact with, she tested positives, and they told her to go to test, and she came back positive, and I'm like, oh, great. And then when she picked up our niece, she was in the house. I mean, I wasn't really close to her or my wife, but we were with the baby, and so we got like into not a panic mode, but like fuck. So, so
Are you
just to be
thinking
on
of
the safe
getting?
side, just to be on the safe side, we went and got a test, but that was the most frustrating part is trying to get a fucking test.
I
Yeah,
heard about that.
yeah, I know it's difficult. I even a couple months ago when I was trying to look for one, it was really difficult finding a place that you could make an appointment and show up. A lot of the test sites that you can go to, you just drive up and you just sit in line for 4 hours before you get tested. So yeah, it's difficult.
I think out of all that, that was my biggest frustration is we tried a bunch of places. We called our doctor, and the doctor's like, "Well, if you really don't have symptoms, just write it out." I'm like, I don't want to be fucking here for like 2 weeks at the house. But after about, let me see, 2 days of fucking calling, we found the place, but it wasn't. So was it told us Monday night, Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, we found a place and we got a test. The earliest test we could take was Friday, get an appointment, and then the other turnaround was like 3 to 5 days of just, or they said the average turnaround is 3 to 5 days to get your results. And then there was like a whole nother fucking just a wait game, you know. But the whole time we're feeling not sick or nothing, no symptoms. In the meantime, my brother-in-law he tested positive because he lives with my sister-in-law, and they pretty much were symptom free. I mean, the baby was fine. And they're younger; they're in their late 20s, so I'm like, they're just gonna fucking might get a fever or something. But man, they were all fine. They're all fine. And we got our results. It came back negative, and I was like, oh, okay. Just the paranoia of just. I was like, man, if I get it, like I'll be good for like 3 months. That's what I was thinking about, but now I came back negative. And then if you read, because everybody initially is like, well, do you have symptoms? Like, no. And then they're like, okay, go to this website, and then you can make appointments at midnight. The webpage wouldn't load. These are like big clinics in our area. The other place was just like, do you have symptoms? No, then I can't give you a test. You can only get a test if you have symptoms. So I'm like, well, did I just fucking lie and say I got a fever or something? Like, it was just that was like the most frustrating part. And then our primary doctor's like, well, just write it out. Like, and then like I went into the CDC, and then they're like, if you've been in close contact with somebody tested positive, it's like if you were in close proximity with them for over 15 minutes. And I'm like, well, we weren't, but man, how the fuck are you gonna know, right? Because the only thing that's been consistent about the virus is it's super contagious.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I, I'm dreading this winter, how it's gonna come through. Usually I get a cold every winter. I get a cold or two, and then if it's a bad winter, I'll get a flu or whatever. But usually it's just a cold or two. I'm dreading it, man. I'm dreading getting sick and not knowing whether it's just the regular cold that I usually get every year, or is it, COVID. So it sucks that it's going to be so difficult to get tested. Hopefully that stuff gets a little better so that you can be able to make an appointment and then get the results in a timely manner where you're not in limbo for like a week or two.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the biggest issue is the fucking test. And in Illinois, if you look at the recovery rate, it's like 97%. And then if you look at all the numbers, so yeah, people are getting sick. And then
A
younger
lot of
people
people are
usually
getting
don't
better
have
though.
symptoms or anything like my in-laws and like other people I think impact more is older people, but they survive. It's just like I said, I think what freaks out people more is like I guess the knowing is like, yeah, do I got it, and then how you deal with it after 2 weeks, and and that's the thing because everybody's fucking different. And then even they say if you go like only go to the hospital if you have pains or trouble breathing, like that's it. But everybody as soon as they get it, they're just gonna fucking run to the hospital. That's what I'm feeling. And to play it safe, they admit them and just have them there.
I think a lot of people are worried, and that's reasonable, but there's a really, really extremely good recovery rate. And I think as long as you maintain a positive attitude, keep your immunity up, and that goes hand in hand with having a positive attitude. Because the more scared you are, the more stressed you are, the more your immunity is negatively impacted. So focus on your religion, man. You guys have it for a reason. This is the time to have it, and trust in God that your immunity is going to be strong enough to weather whatever comes your way. And if it doesn't, then that's the story of our lives. That's we just got to do what we got to do, man. We can't always be afraid of living.
Yeah, I do agree with that to a point because there is a huge recovery rate. I mean, 1% are, passing away to this illness. So those are great odds. But still, to push your mortality and want to risk your life for something as simple as just wear a mask and that'll improve your percentages is something that, I think a lot of people are willing to do. And then there's a portion that are not, that don't agree with that. There's tons of anti-vacciners that don't believe in all this stuff, and they're just like, all this stuff is it's just like a cold, just like you said, Andy. Your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, they didn't really have any symptoms. I think you told me that the worst they had was a headache, and
Yeah,
and
my
that's how some of
sister-in-law.
these young people are. Yeah,
So
so
just she said that she just get a headache, does it. But my brother-in-law, nothing. He ate nothing, no cough, no fever, no chills, nothing. And he was sending my wife pictures of everything he was cooking in his crock pot, and they were eating good. I'm just like, well, what the fuck? And we're like, what about your girl? And she's like, she just had a headache the other day, but it's gone. Like, take some Tylenol and it went away. So I don't know if that's even like part of it or just stress,
Well,
whatever. But yeah,
my aunt and uncle, they had it, and I wouldn't say they have the strongest immune system because they're not very old or anything. They're a little older. I think probably in their 50s, and uh, they do have a disability, a physical disability, but they got through it, man. And they one thing to credit them is they did have a lot of faith going through the whole ordeal,
right.
from the time they got tested, through the symptoms, through the crappy feelings, the whole way through. They're like, God is gonna take care of us. God is gonna protect us. I'm not saying that I'm not saying I believe in Christianity and all that stuff, but I'm
Right, but the
saying
positive attitude help.
them believing it and
Right.
that positive attitude, I think helped them through it. And so you just keep your immunity up, man, and focus on good thoughts.
Yeah, but in the same token, we do have a friend of the family, some guy that's in his 40s, he passed away. So he got COVID and he passed away. So, eh, you know, it hits everybody differently. And that's what you don't really know how it's going to hit you. And I think that a lot of people, they don't want to take the chances. I mean, I feel that I'm somewhat of a healthy, somewhat person. I'm diabetic, so I do deal with that issue, but I try to eat well. I'm not super overweight, but I'm not super fit either. So if it would hit me, I would hope, and my thought is that I would be okay, but you just don't know. I mean, this guy that was 40, did he have any underlying issues? Was he a cokehead, or was he just a regular guy that was in the same boat as I am? He was trying to take care of himself, and he got the shit, and now he's dead.
I mean, that's the thing, dude. We never really know, but just because you don't know is like you don't live life with just this fear because there's so much unknown. Like 99% of what exists is unknown to humans. We haven't even explored our whole Earth. Does that mean we have to fear everything we don't know? I think it's good to have a reasonable hesitancy or cautiousness, but fear is not going to help you in this situation. I think the best you can do is just wake up every day, be thankful for that, and then just be as strong as you can that day. If you're sick or not, there's nothing else you can really do, right? Like,
If I don't know what it is, I'm shooting first and asking questions later, guys. That's
Right.
my philosophy, and rather safe than sorry. But yeah, I mean, everybody, we've talked about it throughout this fucking last year of 2020 with the pandemic. Um, everybody's reacts to it differently, but you guys hit us up if you had it or whatever, and at ffnquestions@gmail.com. What's your experience with our family members or nobody they tested positive and they still went out partying or underground clubs or bars or whatever? But real quick, the only thing the positive thing that this brought in is the quarantine and just been home watching stupid shit. And I found this wrestling organization that fucking went under like I think 5-6 years ago. I heard about a podcast posted clips on YouTube talking about this urban wrestling federation. It's where hip hop and wrestling meet. It's from like the 2011s, and goddamn, bro, it was. I started watching clips and I couldn't find the full pay per views they had, so I found some DVDs and holy shit, man. I bought me some bourbon and I watched the first DVD this Friday. Goddamn, it was fucking hilarious. All these urban wrestlers just talk about getting fucking money, fucking bitches, and winning championships, and it's just fucking hilarious. I'm not knocking it, but it's just like the shit is awesome because it's so fucking bad. And the main event was Homicide, which I know of. He was like an Impact Wrestling, and Eddie Kingston, which is an AEW. And the guy cuts a great fucking promo, in Kingston. The only problem is like to me, he's not like a wrestler shape. He's just like your average guy. That's the main event for the first pay per view. And then just to top it off, this is how the pay per view ends. There's like these crews from like Miami going up to New York, and they're talking about we're gonna take fucking money. They're going around the arena fucking up like people who are like drug dealing and shit. I don't know why in the wrestling. And then at the end, these Puerto Rican group called the Spanish Announce Table. They're outside fucking people in the arena. It's dark, and then like the next scene, they roll up to this car. It's daylight, and the car speeds away, and two wrestlers run out, and they pull out guns and they start shooting at it, shooting at the car. And that's how the fucking pay per view ended. And I'm just like, God damn, man, this shit is awesome.
Jesus, man, this does not sound like WWE.
And no, man, it's ahead of its time. They run here wrote, the All Urban Wrestling Federation is not for everybody. See, it was built around taking the urban drama scene in The Wire and branded with the bravado of hip hop spliced blood and guts of professional wrestling.
Jesus.
So check it out. I mean, let me know. I mean, it was a good distraction while I was waiting for my results, and it was just I heard clips of it and I saw some matches, and there's some nice looking women. All these rappers with money just talking about fucking money. It's they call it, the ring is the new block is their little tagline.
reminds me of that wrestling game, the Def Jam wrestling game.
Yes, some people in the comments on YouTube, it's like, oh man, it's like Def Jam All-Star Wrestling or that PS2 game or PS3 come to life, because that is exactly what it is. It's just they're coming out and it's just fucking nonsense, and I fucking love that shit. That's why I'm like, I gotta watch the rest of these DVDs. Maybe down the road, I'll give some more fucking reviews. But We got to get into some serious stuff here, guys. We're going to go into our article of the week. So, we just talked about, my COVID scare. And I don't know, here in Illinois, you can't go into restaurants right now. Everything is takeout. But I found this interesting that Burger King, a fast food giant here in America, is testing reusable packaging to minimize environmental impact. So, and then the first picture you see on the article, this is by Fox Business News. Uh, they have a plastic like cup and like a plastic Whopper holder or carton. I mean, I don't know what if you guys think it is, but it says it's
a container.
A container. There you go. The fast food chain plans to test out reusable packaging, including a sandwich container and beverage cups. The 18,000 plus restaurant chain announced on Thursday it will debut a pilot program in New York City, Portland, and Tokyo sometime next year. Customers will opt out to use the zero waste packaging, which will pay a deposit and then receive a refund when they return the containers, which can be cleaned and reused repeatedly. So, you guys ready? In Spanish, they call it envase, where you got to leave a deposit. Otherwise, you don't get your money back when you get the old Coke bottles.
Yeah, like the glass Coke bottles.
So, I mean, I see they're pushing the environmental. I guess maybe if it was like glass or something more hygienic. The plastic kind of freaks me out. I mean, is this something? I mean, I don't really go to Burger King as much. It's been a while, but I don't know if you guys do. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah,
I'll give them
2 for
kudos
$5 right now, man. You could win a PlayStation 5, man. Hell yeah, I'm going to
You gotta
Burger
pay
King.
extra, man. You get so excited, you're gonna lose that 50 cents. They don't say how much the deposit is, but I mean, it's kudos for them for trying to be environmentally better, but I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it.
Right, and they're not the only ones. McDonald's also did this program in the UK, so they're not the only ones. Last year, McDonald's is trying this as well.
One thing I always am curious about is how they're going to recycle this, the actual method and what energy goes into doing that. You can't do something with something. You can't change it without using energy. So pretty much, let's say you're going to recycle it and you have a recycling plant built for this. Well, it's using energy, and how do you get it powered up? Unless you're using solar, you're going to be using some, fossil fuel.
Right.
So how much fossil fuel energy is going to go into this to get it reused? Is it going to be more? Are you going to have more carbon emissions just so you have less trash? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Presumably, it would be less. And then I don't know if they're necessarily recycling, because from what I got from the article, it's more of they're cleaning the old container. So you would bring in the container, they're going to steam bacteria, clean it, do whatever, and then they're going to redistribute them to the restaurants, and then they'll reuse them and reissue them clean ones for people to swap out. So I would bring in my dirty one, they would give me a clean one. So the next time I bought a Whopper, I would give them my old container, they would send it off, get it cleaned, and then they would give me a clean one with my new Whopper.
Yeah, they call it the loop system, and there's a quote here. The loop system gives us the confidence in a reusable solution that meets our high safety standards while also offering convenience to our guests on the go. So that's what I was thinking. Like, I guess what you just said, Danny, makes sense. You turn that in, they give you back a clean one with your food, which is, yeah, like if you don't want your deposit back immediately. And the other thing, I didn't see how much the deposit is. I'm assuming it's not that much, but I don't know, man. Like I feel like the paper waste and the cardboard, I think that's better, because doesn't that shit break down in to the dirt and all that stuff compared to the plastics? Or if this doesn't work out, what are they gonna do with it? They're just gonna dump it in the landfill?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. There is hope in the future. I heard that there's a plastic that bacteria eat. So like if you make things out of this plastic, it'll biodegrade if once you introduce this bacteria in that
Right.
landfill or whatever. So I don't know, man. I don't know if this is the way, but like you said, at least they're trying. So give them props for that.
It's and then like in our culture, I personally, I mean, I grew up. I throw shit away. My wife's family, if it's plastic and it has a lid, they fucking keep it. Even though they got nice Tupperware and they got nice containers, like shit like this, I feel like in our community, they're gonna keep that shit. I mean, obviously you paid the deposit, but I don't. I feel like, oh, this is nice, and like that's why I said, like in Mexico, when you buy a glass pop, and those are lower income uh, areas, they pour the pop in a fucking Ziploc bag with a straw. I mean,
Whoa.
it's because you don't want to pay the deposit for the glass bottle because it's
Right. You buy it, pour it into a Ziploc, and then give them the bottle back so you can get your 15 cents back or
or
whatever
yeah,
it
you don't
was.
get charged the extra 15 cents. And like,
Right.
I mean, I guess we're a first world country. There is not that big of a concern, but and the other thing is the cleanliness. Like, plastic is just it's fucking weird. It stains easy, and like the one they have here is brown, so I'm not gonna be able to see.
It leaches too, man.
Yeah, that's my like if it was like I guess a material that you could see the cleanliness more. Like plastic is just to me it's the worst when you heat shit in it. How is this shit microwavable? You know how people are, they just want to throw shit in the microwave. Even when you take those to go containers from like the big box fucking restaurants like Olive Garden and like Red Lobster. People just throw that shit in the microwave. They're not pulling it out and putting it on some fucking tray. I mean,
It
and those are
usually
meant to
is
be thrown away.
cardboard though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work with plastic, man. You're right. It might not be microwavable.
No,
Yeah.
but I think to Andy's point, a lot of people do microwave in plastic containers because they don't really care. And to me, I try to minimize that, as much as I can, because plastic melts and that shit sticks to your food, and then you eat pieces of particles of plastic in your food, and then, you know, yes, we eat tons of garbage every day, but I'm
Oh,
not trying to eat plastic, if I could avoid it.
You know what's
plastic's good.
funny about that? There's supposedly plastic in a lot of foods that we eat because there's microplastics that are in the ground now from just history of fucking negligence and just people throwing their shit away. I can't say that everything we eat has plastic in it, but there are areas where when you grow your crops in the dirt, that dirt has these microplastics in it because that's how plastic breaks down. It'll just break down into these small, little microscopic beads and shit.
Well, I mean, again, we're going through the pandemic, but would you go out to eat to a restaurant or like when you're taking it to go stuff? I know like the straws lately have changed, right? There's like paper straws now. I mean, and I do see people using the takeout in like brown boxes. I don't know if you've seen that. So I'm assuming that stuff's like biodegradable. I mean, compared to this just plastic option, because I think the plastic has it's run its course in today's world, and everybody wants shit. I think the way we grew up, everybody just throws shit away. I think younger people they just want to throw away shit. They just want to make it easy to throw away. So that's why this seems not outdated, but it's a good effort. But I just don't see it, especially like at a fast food place, being a viable option.
Yeah, I think it is going to bring something unique because even though this generation, like your computer breaks, you don't go take it to a repair shop and get it repaired. You just throw it out and buy a new one. Your TV breaks, you throw it out, get a new one. So that culture is here with this newer generation, but at the same time, you look at some of the people on the West Coast, like in California, they're all about eco-friendly. So does the word this is more economically less stressful to the environment? Is that going to entice people to use this and really go with this method? But like Noel mentioned, there is a cost to everything. There's a waste that comes about for cleaning this. There's a waste Why aren't we using glass bottles with the envase anymore, where you go and take it back and you get 15 cents? Because it was a pain in the ass. So the overhead and the charge and everything that you got to do to make it safe to reuse, it's a pain in the ass. So we got rid of that here in the United States, while it's still prevalent in other countries. So is this something that's going to work here?
I'm actually curious too if any restaurants ever tried what normal other restaurants do, like the glassware. When you go to a restaurant, they'll pour your water in a glass. At the end of the day, you just leave it there and they'll clean it up. So like, because glass is a lot easier to clean. So I
Yeah.
wonder, could like a Burger King or McDonald's do indoor dining? I mean, once that's a thing again, if that ever becomes a thing again, where you have glassware if you eat there. If you eat to go, then I guess you have plastic, but at least it'll minimize, half of the people. So you only use plastic for the to go orders.
Well, yeah. Again, we're seeing a trend. I mean, what we've just went through. They're building fast food places where you have the least amount of contact. Like I think Burger King's doing it. I saw an article about that. I saw KFC's doing it. So I think going forward, I think fast food is no one's. I guess no one's really. I feel like no one's gonna go in there and eat it. They're just gonna take it to go and eat somewhere else because of just what we went through for the foreseeable future. Maybe down the road it'll rebound again, but I just saw an article that KFC and like Burger King and I think Wendy's are talking about contactless restaurants. I don't even know how the fuck that works, but you just drive in and drive through, or they bring you out the shit, curbside pickup, and they just you don't really see or talk to them, but everything's through a fucking app, and then someone just rolls out and throws the food at you.
I did see stuff like that, like a Sonic style, where you
Yes.
pull up to this like drive-through booth and you park there, and then somebody brings you the food. So other than touching the teleprompter or maybe going off of an app and sending it to this teleprompter, you would basically not touch anybody, and they would just bring you your food to your car.
Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah, yeah. It needs Gatorade.
Well, the Carl's Jr., and like it's all automated. Like there's no people. It's just like robots, and it drops your food and shit there.
Mm-hmm. Like
It's like
fucking
like
hydrated
a vending
food.
machine.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can picture that, dude. That's gonna be crazy if that stuff like that starts to happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're starting to see again. The more and more stuff is trickling out for new. I mean, I don't even call them restaurants. It's just somewhere you go to get fucking food. It's gonna be like, how long before like grocery stores they already bring out, Alana, her video blog
Grocery
you guys
pickup.
about you just go pick up and they dump it in the back of your fucking car.
Right.
I mean, we've done that. We've gone to Aldi and some poor teenage girl drops fucking all this shit in her back of her car. I mean, I think the fast food industry and restaurants, they're gonna have to go that way to meet those contactless fucking issues because next year after the vaccine comes out, we're gonna see. Obviously, there's gonna be people. Fuck it, I got the vaccine. Let's go shit back to normal. But there's gonna be people that are freaked out, and I think it might continue to go where like I'm gonna do contactless as long as I can, or people who don't get the vaccine or whatever. But I think it's gonna be around for at least the next couple years.
Yeah, I mean, pandemics are like cycles. They come around. This isn't the first pandemic the U.S. has dealt with. They say like, anywhere between 5, 10, 15 years, it cycles back around. So these things are maybe good ideas for the future and maybe the next pandemic as well. Or maybe we'll find out that it doesn't really work out that well.
All you need is a drone, man. Just get a drone to deliver it to you.
Bezos is working on that, right?
Yeah.
He implemented it somewhere, I read.
Yeah, he'll bring you your package, Andy.
Nah, man, I got a package for him, man. That being said, we want to thank y'all for listening. Remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. Also, send your questions and your suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Let us know if you guys had your own COVID scare or dealt with it, contactless pickups, fucking restaurants drive-through being served by robots. If you've seen that, let us know. We want to hear about it. Don't forget to visit our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There you see the links to everything: Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, everything. I mean, you name it, we're fucking on it. Danny's done a pretty good job of adding to shit that I didn't even know existed. And then once you're on there, subscribe, like, comment, all that shit that helps us out in the long run. So we have Freeform Radio. We got Danny.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for listening. And somebody send help. My wife's not letting me leave the house.
Yeah, somebody help Danny. Send that drone, Bezos. Noel.
Thank you all for listening, everybody. Carry on and have a good one.
And it's all good. Andy here. We thank you guys for listening. Hit us up. Send us those questions. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
That was cool, Dad.